In November 2012, the lights went out across hundreds of stores in the United Kingdom. Overnight, more than 6,000 people lost their jobs. Customers arrived to locked doors. Suppliers were left unpaid. The Comet logo, once a familiar sight in almost every town, became a symbol of retail failure. But here is where it gets interesting. Just a decade earlier, Comet was still generating billions in revenue. It was a household name. It sold the televisions that families gathered around, the washing machines that powered daily life, and the computers that introduced millions to the internet age. So how does a company that large, that trusted, and that embedded in everyday British life simply disappear? To understand the collapse of Comet, we have to rewind to its rise, its peak, and the cracks that formed long before the final collapse. Comet was founded in 1933, long before flat screens, smartphones, or online shopping. It began as a small business selling radio equipment, tapping into one of the most exciting technologies of the early 20th century. From the beginning, Comet positioned itself as a retailer for modern life. By the 1970s and 1980s, Comet had become a major force in electrical retail. The UK was modernizing rapidly. Households wanted televisions, refrigerators, freezers, and later video recorders. Comet stores were large, accessible, and filled with products that represented progress. It expanded aggressively across the country. Its business model was simple and effective, relying on large out-of-town stores, high-volume sales, competitive pricing, and finance options for customers who could not afford expensive electronics up front. By the 1990s, Comet was no longer just a retailer, it was an institution. For many families, buying a major appliance meant going to Comet. The brand stood for reliability, choice, and convenience. The early 2000s were the golden years. Comet operated more than 200 stores across the UK and Ireland. Annual revenues exceeded £4 billion. The rise of digital televisions, DVD players, and home computers created a constant upgrade cycle that benefited retailers like Comet. Now you might be thinking that this sounds like a company perfectly positioned for the future. New technology was accelerating. Consumers were buying more electronics than ever. On the surface, Comet looked unstoppable. But beneath the surface, the business was becoming increasingly fragile. Comet was acquired by private equity firm KKR in 2003. The deal loaded the company with significant debt. At first, this did not seem like a problem. Sales were strong and credit was cheap, but debt has a way of quietly reshaping priorities. Instead of reinvesting heavily in innovation, digital infrastructure, and customer experience, Comet focused on servicing its debt and maintaining short-term profitability. The company remained successful on paper, but its foundations were weakening. Before we move on with the video, please subscribe to our channel. We want to hit 5,000 subscribers. The first major crack was the internet. Online retailers were beginning to change consumer behavior. Customers started researching products online, comparing prices instantly, and expecting lower margins. Comet was slow to adapt. Its online platform lagged behind competitors. Click and collect was underdeveloped. Pricing struggled to compete with pure online players who had lower operating costs. At the same time, big box rivals like Currys and new online giants like Amazon were reshaping expectations. Consumers wanted convenience, fast delivery, transparent pricing, and strong after-sales service. Comet still relied heavily on large physical stores, with high rent, high staff costs, and complex logistics. Every month, those stores required enormous cash flow just to stay open. But wait, there is more to this story. Comet also faced reputational damage. Complaints about aggressive sales tactics, extended warranties, and customer service eroded trust. In an era where online reviews mattered more than ever, perception became reality. Internally, morale declined. Staff faced pressure to sell add-ons rather than focus on long-term customer relationships. The company was drifting away from what had made it successful in the first place. The global financial crisis of 2008 accelerated everything. Consumer spending dropped sharply. Credit became tighter. Big-ticket electronics were postponed or cancelled altogether. Comet revenues fell, but its costs did not. Debt repayments remained fixed. Store leases could not be easily exited. The business was trapped in a model that no longer fit the market. In 2011, Comet was sold for a symbolic price of £2 to an investment firm called Op Capita. The deal included the assumption of massive liabilities. Many observers saw it as a last roll of the dice. The new owners promised a turnaround. Stores were closed, jobs were cut, and costs were reduced. But the underlying problem remained. Comet needed time, investment, and strategic reinvention. What it got instead was a slow bleed of cash. Suppliers lost confidence and credit insurers withdrew cover. Without inventory, shelves emptied. Without products, sales collapsed. It became a vicious cycle. In November 2012, Comet entered administration. The end came swiftly. The collapse of Comet sent shockwaves through the UK retail sector. Thousands of employees were made redundant just before Christmas. Pension schemes were left underfunded. Local communities lost major employers. For consumers, it marked the end of an ERA. Another familiar high street name gone. For the industry, it was a warning. Size no longer guaranteed survival. Brand recognition was not enough. The rules had changed. Comet was not killed by a single mistake. It was undone by a combination of debt, delayed digital transformation, and a failure to anticipate how quickly consumer behavior could shift. So, what is the real lesson of Comet? The story is not simply about online competition or bad timing. It is about structural fragility. Comet was built for a world of physical retail dominance, predictable demand, and incremental technological change. When that world disappeared, the company could not pivot fast enough. Debt amplified every weakness. Each downturn hit harder. Each missed opportunity became more expensive. By the time leadership recognized the scale of the challenge, the options were gone. But here is the deeper insight. Comet did not fail because people stopped buying electronics. Demand never vanished. It shifted. Companies that survived invested early in omni-channel strategies, logistics, data, and customer trust. They accepted lower margins in exchange for long-term relevance. Comet tried to protect the past instead of building the future. Today, its empty stores are reminders of a transition that reshaped retail forever. The fall of Comet is not just a business case study. It is a cautionary tale for any company that believes its size, history, or legacy will protect it from change. Because in modern capitalism, adaptation is not optional, and even giants can disappear almost overnight. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe. We'll see you tomorrow with a new video.